horsepower lawnmower. Y'all see me out there playing in the mud? All that rain, that John Deere needs some grippers on it. Well, welcome back to Papaw's place, guys. Today, I'm taking the top off this diesel heater here. It's the one that was in my greenhouse. It's the 8 kW. And I'm going to see if I got what it takes to plumb a bigger fuel tank into this. I got some old 5-gallon fuel tanks, and I think I can turn one of them in to a tank for this, so I won't have to fill up this little tank every day or every other day. But once I get my seed started, we'll be having a lot more cold nights and a lot more nights that get down into freezing. And it'll just make it easier for me if I can at least have a 5-gallon tank. So to take this one apart, you gotta take all these little screws out of the housing. I don't know, it's somewhere around 20 screws. I got a video where I took this apart and things you need to look at when you buy one. These are good heaters, but they're cheaply made, and they'll run your fuel line through a hole that's real sharp that can get cut by the metal and such like that. So I have had it apart and done all that to it before. Next, I'm going to remove the cap off the fuel tank. And that should just lift right off once I get the rest of these screws out. Set that right over out of the way. And the bad thing is I just filled this thing up with fuel to have it ready for the next cool night. That's the little fuel tank. I think it holds somewhere around a gallon, slightly over a gallon. I ain't 100% sure, can't remember. I gotta cut some zip ties where I zip tied the fuel line, because they had it all just loose up in there rubbing on everything. So I think I can just cut this little zip tie. These gas lines is just put together. It's a little old bitty gas line. So I think I can just, I cut this zip tie right here that goes on that filter. I'm gonna unplug this right here off that filter, put my finger over it, take this outside and put this fuel back into my tank, my big fuel tank. And then I can undo this, and that fitting that's screwed into that tank is screwed in there. I'll be able to use that fitting on one of my 5-gallon fuel tanks that I'm going to convert into this. And then I got some of this size hose that'll connect from that fitting in my new tank back to this filter. So I think I'm going to have what I need. So I'm going to disconnect this hose from the filter and see if I can get this out of here without making too big of a mess. That ain't pulling off that filter none too easy. I might just undo it, try to undo it from the fitting on the tank for right now. Undo this little clamp down here on the bottom. Up. That worked. Now I'm gonna take this and put this back in my fuel tank. Now guys, I'm gonna unscrew this little nipple right here. And see if I can install it into this 5-gallon can. Now, I've been waiting, hoping I'd come across something else that would hold about 15 or 20 gallons. And I ain't come across nothing yet. So I'm gonna go on and do this. And then if I come across something, it'll be simple. I won't have to take the heater back apart or anything. I may not get this out. It may have something on the back of it. It may not just be screwed in there like they are on go-kart tanks and such. When the go-kart I rebuilt, that little mini ATV, this was just screwed into the tank. This one don't act like it's unscrewing. Let me get my glasses on so I can see a little better. Now, how did they do that? I don't know. See if I can hold on to it with these pliers and get the nut to break loose. Oh, so this one, I don't know how they got that in there, unless they put it in there before they melted this tank together. See if I can get that with a magnet. Well, I would have knew I couldn't get that with a magnet because it's made of aluminum. If it'd been made of metal, it'd be rusting, wouldn't it? I spilled a few drops of diesel on my floor. Set this tank outside and never know. May need it for something else. Now the question is, how am I gonna get that in a hole in that tank? Here. I might be able to hold on to that when I drill a hole. Get it down in there and poke through. That's what I'm gonna try to do. So guys, we're about to run a gas tank, or I'm about to make a gas tank that'll work off just diesel here. Now I know this tank looks dirty, but it's still a good tank. It's just where diesel spilt on it and dust is piled up on it. Riding in the back of the truck, under the shed. That's just old dirt. Now I did make me an air vent in it with a little screw that I can undo to pour, cause these new gas cans, you can't even pour gas out of them. And I'm gonna make my top. I actually already started working on it, what I do with it. Anyway, the top that I got to put on here, you know, they used to come with a spout. Well, since they got all that safety feature on it, I removed all of that. And I'm capping this. Well, here's the top right here. I cut a piece of metal and put in there, and I got it silicone drying, because this will be inside my greenhouse anyway. I'd already done that to 2 or 3 of my old tanks. Cause guys, I have a couple of these right here. Runs off of D batteries. You stick down that tank, punch that button, and it's 2 gallons a minute. That's how I fill my little tractor up. I set this up on the hood, stick that in there and fill it up. That's how I've been filling up this diesel heater and the diesel heater in the shed here. Instead of trying to have a funnel and pour and all that. I got a couple of these right here. Now, got to put this up here, or either on the front. Let's see. Heat sealer's gonna be sitting. I need it off this side. Cause it's gonna be sitting to the left side. Yeah, it's gonna be sitting to the left side of the diesel heater in the greenhouse. Plus, I gotta have it up here toward the front, so where I can try to get this poked through after I drill the hole. I ain't drilling the hole all the way on the bottom. I ain't gonna drill the hole any if I don't get a drill bit in my drill, am I? But then we're gonna try it right about right there. I'm gonna leave a little bit off the bottom, that way if you get any settlement in there, trash or anything, get it settled to the bottom. Now that little old tank that come on them diesel heaters is thin. These ain't very thick, but they are thicker than what come on this diesel heater. So now the fun begins. Let me make sure this is gonna fit. It's gonna fit. And it has an O-ring on here to seal it. It still looks good. I might put a new O-ring on the outside. But now I gotta try to get that down through there in that hole. I got another pair of these right here that's longer than this. Somewhere. Look at there, guys. I did it on the first attempt. What y'all think about that? I can't believe I did that on the first attempt. Now let's see. It had a... What did it have? Can't remember which O-ring went first. The small O-ring goes first because the nuts flared out. And then it's got a little bit bigger O-ring. Actually, it sits over that, guys, because the small O-ring sits in this indention in this nut. Then I'm gonna have to hold on to it with my little needle nose here to keep it from turning while I tighten that nut. Some of y'all didn't think I was gonna get that in there, did you? I'll tell you the truth, I can't believe I got it on there. Hit that hole on the first try. I figured I was gonna at least drop this in the tank 4 or 5 times before I did it. I think that's snugged up enough. Let's see, that hose, look there, that hose is long enough. I ain't even gonna have to extend the hose, because I'm gonna have this sitting, it's always set right beside it, because diesel fuel ain't flammable as far as just a spark or something that's exploding it, igniting it. So all I had to have was the tank. Used to fit in, the hose is gonna be long enough and everything. One thing I am gonna have to do is cut a little notch in that cowling that slips back over here to run that hose through. I ain't gonna try to drill no hole. If I drill a hole, then I gotta undo this to run the line through, and I don't want to cause a leak. I can't believe this is working out so simple. I should have done this a long time ago instead of waiting on looking for a bigger tank. Clean all this up in here where I have spilt a little diesel fuel. Spider webs need to be cleaned out anyway. even though I done been using it. See where I need my hole at. I'm gonna cut me a slot right there, cause it don't matter if it's too big or not, cause you got an open slot right here, and then you got a open hole where your gas cap come through. You got a slot like that on both sides, so you ain't trying to make it airtight or nothing. Now guys, now I'm gonna take this outside and cut this with the grinder. There we go. So that was quick and easy. Now what I am going to do is get me a piece of rubber hose that's bigger than this and put right over this hose so it won't rub up against them sharp edges anywhere. So I got a bigger piece of hose right here, guys. I'm going to put it right around this little fuel line. I'm going to put a zip tie around it. Put this right back on there. Get the 20-something screws put back in, then we go into the greenhouse. Fill it up with fuel and see if we got any leaks and make sure everything's good to go. Well, all right, guys, I got her set up, hooked back up. It took it a little while for the fuel to get primed because I couldn't remember on the settings what I was supposed to push to prime the line. But I kept fooling with it and got the line to re-prime since it didn't have no fuel in it. There's no telling where the manual is for this, even if I still have it. But it's set back up. And that worked out perfect. I got my little transfer pump hanging here, so when I need to put fuel in here, I can just have me 5 gallons of fuel come in here and set my pump up, pump this up. Actually, I'm still gonna get 5 gallons of fuel here, even though I got the hose up off the bottom a little bit, simply because the fuel line on these tanks is down about right there. Well, since I ain't moving it or toting it nowhere, and this is diesel, it ain't like gas, it's going to build up a whole lot of vapor. I filled it all the way up to the neck. So I got a good 5 gallons, a little over 5 gallons of fuel here. And on my normal circumstances, I just run this on low. Maybe a night or two it got cold enough after I got my seeds started that I turned it up a little bit. But for the most part, that ought to get me about 5 days without having to worry about topping this back off, to where before that little tank every day before night I would top it back off. I got a bug or something in my eye. But I let it run here a while. Now today is about 70 degrees out here. We went from ice and snow to rain for about 4 days straight. Now it's hot. Next week we'll be back probably some nights in the freezing again. But I got that little project done. The other day I was out here and I raised this heater up because it was down on the ground, and when you get ready to turn it on, you can't see the control panel. And I'd almost have to lay down on the ground to see what I was doing. So I raised it up. That's some old plastic spools like wire comes on, which worked out perfect because I set this tank up. It may have could have sat on the ground, but I didn't know if the little pump in this heater is stout enough to pump it up, so I got it up there. It's almost level straight across with the fuel pump. So now we need to go into the house because I got to get supper started for my wife. If I don't have her some supper when she comes home, she might tell me to go get a job at Walmart or something. Alright, now we're finna get supper ready for tonight, guys. I come in, pulled my dirty clothes off, and I just stuck a t-shirt on in my house pants here. But what I'm gonna cook up here today, I don't know if you want to call this Italian chicken soup or yardbird soup. Now there's one thing about recipes, and some of you know it. To me, a recipe is kind of like a map to the ballpark. Once I get to the ballpark, it's up to me to play the game. So I got a little recipe that I seen, and then I just take it and run from there. So what I'm gonna be doing, I got some boneless, skinless chicken breasts, and I already seasoned them up with Italian seasoning. I'm gonna be using olive oil to brown these in the skillet, and I already got a cup of chicken broth. I already got a cup of half and half that I made because we didn't have no half and half. So I used butter and milk. I got my seasoning here, which is some more Italian seasoning, like a teaspoon of white pepper, a teaspoon of salt, and then I added a teaspoon of my own dehydrated basil and my own dehydrated oregano. These are carrots and onions, but they were froze. They was out of the garden, but they're froze, so they don't look too good, but in that soup, it's gonna give it flavor and taste. I'm gonna use a can of whole kernel corn. I just went out and cut a couple of little stalks of celery. Also, I put some teaspoon of dehydrated celery in my seasoning bowl right here. I got about 3 little cloves of chopped up garlic. And then I got probably about a cup of diced up potatoes. And I got some flour sitting here. So I'm gonna get y'all over here, and first we're gonna brown this chicken up a little bit. I'm gonna turn that stove on to get that warmed up. I'm just using cast iron. I love cooking in cast iron. We're gonna sprinkle some olive oil around in there. Let that warm up a minute. And I ain't gonna put no flour on these boneless chicken breasts. I'm gonna just put them in there and kind of sear them around and brown them up a little. Test this out real quick. Yeah, it's getting a little sizzle there. Kick this heat down just a little bit. Now I'm gonna flip these over. I guess this would have been quicker if I'd have diced these up before I kind of browned them instead of waiting until I brown them and then dice them up. Guys, I think that's good enough. They're finished cooking in the soup when it's simmering. Because I'm going to dice them up pretty small. I'm going to set this over here on the plate out of the way. I'm gonna pour just a little bit of this chicken broth in there. Now I'm finna add my carrots, onions. There's a few bell peppers cut up in this little bag. I had froze. Turn that heat up high. Add that celery. Add my seasonings. Add my garlic. We're gonna let this cook down and brown up a little bit. Putting off a great aroma right now. While that's cooking down, I'm gonna cube up these chicken breasts in the smaller bite-sized pieces. Alright, that's browned up enough there. I'm gonna set it off at high heat for just a moment. I shouldn't have got over dicing up the... I'm gonna pour a little bit of this chicken broth in there again, because I need just a little bit more liquid. That there done got real hot on me real quick. I'm gonna sprinkle some flour in there. This is just... Actually, we use self-rising flour. That don't matter. We're gonna stir this around. Let it kind of brown up some. We're gonna start stirring in this chicken broth slowly. Raking them goodies off the bottom of that skillet. Now we're going to pour this half and half in there. Like I said, I made this with just milk and butter. Let that come back up to heat. Guys, all that seasoning and some of that brown y'all see in there is off the bottom of that skillet. That's what gives it that good flavor. Got something going on over here with my faucet on this sink. Sounds like it's got air in the line. Making a vibrating sound. Now it's coming back up to heat. We're going to pour in this whole kernel corn, and I leave about a half a can of the juice in mine. To me, it gives it better flavor than it does when you drain all the juice off your corn. Let it come back up to heat again. Then dump in these potatoes. We're going to let her come back up to heat. We're going to dump this chicken in there. Toss it around. I'm gonna give it just a sample taste. Oh yeah. Now I'm gonna turn this heat down here, guys. Put the lid on here, but I'm gonna leave it just kind of cracked on the back side. And now I'm gonna get all my mess cleaned up, my dishes washed. Check on it how it's simmering, get it set just right. And then when the wife gets home, we'll let y'all see how good it is. Well guys, y'all think Miss Sharon's gonna like that Italian chicken soup? We're gonna know here in a little while. But one of the last things I'm gonna do is come out here and check on my baby rabbits. Old Gwen here, she kitted early this morning. And she's got 4 or 5, I'm thinking 4. I didn't handle them much when they first born, just enough to make sure there ain't none dead. Loretta down here had 9, but I guess she jumped out of her nest box. Maybe on that last one, or either started having them before she got in her nest box, but it was on the wire, but it died. So she's got 8, but we're gonna take a peek at them again. But one thing I wanna do that I've been forgetting to do since Christmas, I wanna thank all my viewers, all the ones who sent gift cards and just Christmas cards and this and that. I want to thank each and every one of you, because it means so much to me, and I ain't going to try to name them off because there's no way I get the name right, but you know who you are. If you sent me something, it is greatly, greatly appreciated. Also, somewhere in there between Thanksgiving and Christmas, me and Colton, I got a text one day, and it was from the little Southern brothers. They live up in Tennessee, pretty good ways up the road from me. But I've got to know them through YouTube, and we've chatted on the phone and such. Well, they was passing through, going down to Mr. Tommy's house. He lives a little further south of Louisiana. They were going down there for a wedding or something or other. Well, they was passing through, and they was gonna be on the interstate within 30 miles of the house here. And it worked out perfect. Colton was out of school for some reason that day. I think that was on a Friday. Can't remember why he was out of school. Oh, I think it was because the Oak Grove football team was going to state to play the state game that week, so they let school out that Friday. But me and Colton went down there, and we met them, and we had lunch and stuff, and I got a few pictures here to pop up for you. And old Colton, he may be 4 years old, but you gotta watch him with them girls. He liked Chloe. No, he was a little shy. He likes her watching her on TV, and Connor and the rest of them. But after we got down there and met him, he kind of had that little shyness. Then after they left and we got back in the truck leaving, then he wanted to talk about it. But anyway, that was great. Awesome to get to meet someone that I've met on YouTube and talked to on the phone and probably text and email, but never I got to meet in person. So I really enjoyed that. So now we're going to take a little look at the rabbits and get them fed up before I go in and get my house fence back on. They think this is mama. They jumping around wanting something to eat. They all 4 still doing good. She didn't have but 4. Guys, I had such trouble getting these rabbits bred. I started back in September. Yeah, Gwen, we just checking on the babies. But guys, I started back in September, and I guess both of my bucks were sterile from the high heat of the summer. And I bred them, nothing happened. I bred them again, nothing happened. So that second time when nothing happened, I just went to coming out here every day for, I don't know, 5 or 6 days in a row, maybe more. I throw a buck in with them. My thinking, I was letting the bucks clean their pipes out, so to speak. And finally, one time they took Now, I know the birth date of these, but I basically had to count back the days to kind of think of when they got bred. But either way, they bred. I about done got ready to get rid of them, thinking something was wrong with the does and the bucks. We're going to take a peek of Miss Loretta's here. Now, I don't have Dolly no more. I don't know what was going on with Dolly, but she was getting sickly and steady losing weight and stuff, so we had to call Dolly. These here's a lot smaller, even though they was born first during the night hours. But like I said, she had 9. I just kind of run my hands around in there and make sure I don't feel one that's cool. Make sure they're all still living. And I cover them back up with their hair. And that's something else I forgot to say. When I was having trouble breeding them, they did get bred one time, both of them. And Gwen, now she's done had several litters in her life. But they had them babies on the wire that night. Didn't even pull no hair, nothing. And lost all of them. That's when I done getting ready. I was finna get rid of all of them. So I don't know what was going on. Maybe they was mad because I was letting the bucks breed them every day over and over and over. Now there's the daddy to these. That's old Hank. He's young. Ain't as big as a buck as I'd like to have, but he's my prettiest one out of the 2 I got. And I know that's who they from, because that's who I was breeding them to last time. It's just Hank. I fixed this to where I can roll this up and down, and it can stay there till next year. I got 1 nesting box in here, 1 rooster and 3 hens. I got 2 eggs. And I'm gonna show y'all my roosters. This is something you don't never have to worry about in Louisiana. And y'all can see they had an enclosed. Now it wasn't insulated and it ain't no heat light or nothing put in there. But them couple of nights that weather got down there, well, one night it got down to 9 degrees for a little while. It wasn't no long period of time. 2 or 3 nights there, it was in the teens and low 20s at night. But my 2 roosters got frostbite on their cones and wattles. Now both roosters, the cones and wattles is way too big. And that's something I'm gonna be trying to breed forward and breed into, is smaller, shorter wattles. And I think I'm gonna have that with my chicks I got from Chase over at Recreational Homestead. But I'm gonna show y'all what Frostbite looks like. But guys, that's what Frostbite looks like. If you ever turn around, you'll see it on the bottom of his wattles. Come here, my royal. I named him my royal because I got him from Manlin and Royal. My other rooster's down there's named Justin. That's what I've been calling them lately. But I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't know. Personally, I've never had a chicken get frostbite in my life. If it's ever got that cold before in my life, I was a young kid in northeast Louisiana. So I don't know if that'll fall off. They'll be all right. The only way they won't be all right if it got infected or something. But none of the hens got it. Just the 2 big roosters, because our cones and wattles is so big. Which again, like I said, they too big. Ended up with 6 eggs today, chicken eggs and 2 duck eggs. There's 5 chicken eggs here, and I got 1 chicken egg and 1 duck egg this morning when I came out. So let's go back in the house and wait on that old lady and see what she says about that Italian chicken soup.
What you got? Got some supper.
Got some supper.
Yay, I'm hungry. Ooh, that looks good. I don't think I've ever ate nothing that looks like this.
That is Italian chicken soup. Of course, my weight.
Your weight, huh? You done ate? You ain't waited on me?
I didn't wait on you. We'll see what you think. Guys, y'all think she gonna like this?
Let me get a little bit in case I don't like it.
She might take all running after she gets a bite.
Here's a spoon. That's really good. Very good.
Guys.
I think I'm gonna give you some more.
Uh-oh, she going back for more, so it must be all right.
That is good. Yum, yum.
Oh, it's real good.
Yeah, that
Now
is.
that chicken, some breast. I found that there. I think they're big for some of them. Animals I processed a long time ago.
Yeah.
I just breast, filet breast. So they do that chocolate chicken.
Yeah, that's good.
How was your day?
My day was good. It was busy.
Want some drink?
Yes, some water.
Some water.
What all did you put in this? I mean, I know chicken and carrots and potatoes and corn.
Started out with the chicken breast.